Hello, it's me. I'm here. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. I've got Ashley, Amy, and Regine, and then I will check my PayPal. Hope everybody is well. Who's here? Say hello. Hi, Ashley. Okay, why don't we get started on yours because I know you're late over there. Sorry, I just saw a text. We're supposed to go over to a friend's house because I've known them. I've known her son since he was. They were in preschool together. My oldest daughter, and him were in preschool together. It's his birthday together. We're supposed to go over there, and she's like, "It's crazy over here." So I was just reading a funny little text. Sorry. Hi, Allie. Okay, so Ashley, you wanted to know about your trip over here. So I feel like you're gonna. I don't know if it's. I guess it's considered an emergency one, to get your passport renewed when you get over here, because that's the feeling I get. I feel like you would get it in time, but it feels just like it would create so much anxiety for you that it's not worth even bothering with that. Just get an emergency one is the feeling I get. Like, because I feel like needing to go to, I don't know, whatever. It just feels like that's what you need to do. That's the feeling I get. And I mean, you asked like a lot of questions, so that's the one I feel like. Right, but I feel like when you come to the United States, that's what you have to do. Because you asked when you get to the United States, what are you going to do? And it feels like because your passport expires in October, I feel like it's like make the appointment now, and say like this is what the deal is. I'm worried about blah blah blah, and they'll give you an appointment, and it's no issue. Sometimes I have to say this, and I adore you, and you've been following me for a while, so this is not like I think you're a terrible person, but you allow your anxiety brain to take over your, like, in the moment, and like go to all the problems that could ever possibly come up. And I get it. Some of that comes from a place of having like childhood type trauma stuff where you don't feel like you are really secure. And so it's in and so when your brain goes to that like anxiety place, it's trying to protect you, but really it's creating a whole lot of like not protection at this point. You'll be fine. I promise you'll be okay. You'll get it. It just feels like call and make the appointment for that. It feels like not sending it in is important. If Okay, I'm going to say this. If you want to get it done the way you want to get it done, where like you have it in your hot little hand, because the other thing is like I feel like you no, I keep going back to it. No, this is what the feeling is best for you to do. Listen, I would you keep coming back to me because I've been right enough about enough stuff, right? And every time I do a reading for you, you're like, but, and I'm like, but this is what I'm getting. So I can't change that. Your mom and your best friend are waiting on you before making their summer plans, and that's stressing me out. Well, tell them not to. I don't know about the plans until I figure out the passport issue. So tell them not to. Just say these are the things I have to take care of when I'm at home, and then it becomes of like we'll work it all out when I get there, but I have to do these things. That's just like setting boundaries, because your priorities are, yeah, sure, you want to like visit people and stuff, but you have to take care of some business too. Your car sale, you're going to do fine with your selling your car. That's like a no, that's no problem. And I'm going to tell you what I did when I So I had a ton of stuff in storage back in Houston when I came up here as a travel nurse, and then I was tired of paying rent with my sister and paying a lot of bills because she would just be like, "Oh, I don't have any money," and then I was finally like, "Do you have savings accounts? Do you have?" She's like, "Oh yeah, I have all that." It's like, "You have a 401k?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Why am I paying all of your bills? Because I'm paying so much money for you, and I don't have any of that stuff." So I basically was like, "We're ending this lease. Like it's done. You're moving out. Whatever." All my stuff went in storage, and then when I went down to get my car and drive it back across the country, I got 5 boxes out of storage, and the rest of the stuff I had Salvation Army pick up. I am not disputing all of your plans. I am telling you what I'm getting intuition wise. You can argue with your guides or argue in your head, like all of that stuff. Because you're like whenever you do this, it's like I'm telling you what I'm getting. I am getting that it's the best way for you to do this is make the appointment and go in as an emergency thing. And you're going to sell your car fine. And I also feel like you're going to end up letting go a lot of stuff. And literally, you can call the Salvation Army and they will come to the storage place and pick it all up from there. And they don't charge you for it. They don't charge you for it. They just come and take it. They'll take everything. Just take whatever you want out of there and they'll take the rest. And then you're going to do like I did and be annoyed that you spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars at a point on storage costs. And you just were like, but also one thing I really learned doing travel nursing is that I'm not really attached to stuff anymore. Like I'm so okay with like getting rid of stuff. Like I'm not attached to labels. I'm not attached to this. I'm like, it's stuff is stuff is stuff is stuff. So just call Salvation Army. They'll come pick all of it up. They'll take furniture. They'll take everything. And you'll be able to sell your car, no problem. I would go and look at the Kelley Blue Book value. You'll sell it, no problem. But I don't want to argue about with what I'm getting because I've gotten to this point where people are like, but, and I'm like, you can argue with me what I'm getting, but you asked me. This is what I get is the best option for you. Because even when I sit there and try and go it in my head, it's like they're like, no, not that one, not that one. Did a live. I know you're not really arguing, but like you would go, but there's all these other things that you're not. It's like I get it, but this is what they're giving me. I did a reading I was doing live readings on TikTok on Thursday, and this woman came in, and my guys were literally like, she was like, "Oh, all these things are wrong in my life," or am I don't know. It was like not like cursed, but the angels aren't looking out for me or something like that. And she started to like, she asked, I was like, well, let me just see. And then my guides were literally like, guides, universe, whatever, because I don't really feel like I connect with like, there's like this guide here and that. Like, I'm not, maybe other people do. I don't know. I just call guides because I feel like it's more comfortable for y'all. Source was sort of saying, like, don't read for her. And it was under the feeling of there's mental health issues there. So she's wanting to argue with me about what I'm picking up. And I'm like, but I like, and I said, I really keep feeling like you need therapy. Like and then like maybe a couple months later, she's like, well, I was traumatized. And I'm like, therapy to help heal that. And then they're going to brainwash me. And I was like, if you believe that, that's what will happen. So I know you're not technically arguing with me, but it's like whenever we go through this. So you have to tell them, here's the thing. This is where boundaries come in. I understand, and this is what you say, I understand you need final plans, but things are really not settled for me until I actually get there because they said I cannot make the appointment until I'm back in the United States. They will let you back in France. You will get it renewed. It's not going to be an issue, but it's important that they're showing me that you do it in that manner, that's going to be the best outcome for you. So you just need to go on under the assumption of they're going to let me back in France. This is like a non-issue. I just have to go through the trouble of doing this. But also, it's okay for you to tell people I have these responsibilities that I have to do to take care of myself, and I want to have fun and all of that, but I just don't have any answers for you until then. And if they get upset about that, like at some point, that just has to be on them. Like I understand though, like wanting to not leave other people in limbo because I'm that way myself. But also like you get to a point where you just go, I have no control over this. This is the way I have to do this. And if they can't handle it, like that's like some emotions they need to process on their own. But you'll get it. Don't worry. I mean, that's Hi Aura. How are you today? So I have I can't figure out. Um I have some I'm going to be doing some new stuff coming in here. I'm excited. I'm working with a woman who is going to help me grow my business. Okay, Allie, I'll look. Okay, I'll look, Aura. And also the visa process I started a year ago, still the finish. It should, yeah, that'll be fine. That's why I didn't even address it because that's going to be fine too. And again, all of that stuff I feel like is on them. It has nothing to do with you. It's like nothing that you're not doing anything wrong in the process, and there's nothing else you can do to poke and prod it along. Okay, I've got Allie. Aura, I don't have yours yet. Did you make it in with the one with my picture or the one with the butterfly? I'm just wanting the card now and the notification to pick. I 1,000% understand that. I feel like you'll get that before you even. Okay, the butterfly is my old one, so lose that one. Because I'll explain why. It's just because so I have a business PayPal now and a personal PayPal, and I had to create a whole new like business account. So that other one is my personal one, and so I have to like because I'm an LLC and prefer to keep all of my money separate. So then like the LLC makes sense because it keeps my personal finances separate from my business. So if anything happens, then like they're separate. It also makes accounting easier for me at the end of the year. So in the future, look for my face. If you don't see my face, only do the link that's on these ones. I would appreciate that. So I'm going to be doing some rebranding and offering some new things, and I'm going to offer a psychic development circle more often. I'm going to create more. She's coming up with some ideas and easier ways to do things. She's going to teach me how to do a lot of stuff to make content easier for me to provide for everybody and be more visible and all of that stuff. So I'm excited for that. So at some point you might not be looking for a butterfly anymore. Okay, Laura, got it. So let me add Allie and so I hope everybody in the US is having a nice long weekend here. We went yesterday, I went with my daughter. I'm her Girl Scout troop leader, and we did horseback riding, her horseback riding badge. And the horses were very cute. And there were some funny goats named Picklesdill and what was the other one? It was another play on the dill pickly thing. I don't remember what it was. It was cute. One other thing, my old boss from the job I quit is now looking for another teacher. I guess the person that replaced me isn't going to stay. Maybe he's not that easy to deal with. You know that. Look, I'm a wholehearted believer in what you put out comes back to you tenfold. Good, good or bad, right? Comes back to you tenfold. This is like, hang on, I'm struggling. Comes back to you tenfold. So I also believe that when I join organizations on a volunteer effort, I tend to find major financial issues within the organization. So when I was in college, I was on my residential board, and I was a treasurer, and I was like, hey, I don't understand why the food system is the way it is. And this is an example. This isn't how much we paid. I don't remember how much we paid, but it's like $600 for the semester for our meal plan, but we only got $300 worth of food. And I was like, where's the other 300 going? So the people went to that meeting, whatever, with those people in the campus who dealt with it, and they came back and they're like, oh, they said it's just for administrative costs. I was like, yeah, but I'm in accounting, and I know legally you have to have know to the penny where stuff goes, where money goes, and I'm curious about that. And then they came back. So I was like, go ask them, say that, tell that to them. And then they came back and they said, it turns out somebody is embezzling money. Okay. So I'm a part of an organization now, and I won't say who it is or what it is or anything else. And getting reimbursed for things if you're spending money, and figuring out what your budget is and everything has always been a mystery. And so I just said within this forum of other people within this group, this is weird. I couldn't run my business this way. What is going on? Can someone just enlighten me? And so then other people are like, yeah, this is weird. So there's a massive shortfall of money. And it turns out it's not fully embezzling, but it is not being fully open about where money is going and who it's going to, and it's not being divvied up the way it is. So trust your intuition. Okay, so next, Amy, what's your question? And I'm not being fully open because a person who should have been, it's a long story. There are a lot more people culpable than are willing to stand up. And my point being is even if these people aren't fully held accountable and, return the funds, so to speak, I trust that the universe will come back to them tenfold. And the thing when that happens is, so be careful when you're when you put stuff out there that's not so good, you don't always get a say in how it comes back to you. The universe just will wallop you, and sometimes over and over and over. Amy, I was right. You met Grace in person. Yay! You're texting now. Yay! I playfully signaled attraction to her in a message last night. Not heard back though. How does she feel about me? It's a little, okay, I'm going to say this. It's a little overwhelming because my feeling for her that is she's not exactly sure what she wants. And, so what you need to do is in your head, decide what the story is. So instead of deciding, oh my God, she doesn't like me. Oh my God, she's freaked out. She didn't like that I did that, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I do have you from last week, Rothka. Sorry, I didn't put you on the list. But yes. Because I forgot to give you the general last week. My apologies. So my feeling is, Amy, thank you for reminding me, is this. I'm big on the law of law of assumption, and that we get to decide how things turn out. So this is she felt a little bit overwhelmed, but or excited or whatever, but good, positive things, right? And or she fell asleep, or she didn't quite see it because maybe it got bumped, but I know she's really excited, and she's trying to think of a witty comeback or how to return it. Leave it not negative. I say that because I am finding more and more that truly our thoughts create our reality, even in little things where I'm like, no, I just decide, no, this is what it is. And like it ends up being that way. And I know that's strange and maybe it's delusional to some people. And I swear I would have told you it was delusional 10 or 15 years ago, like, especially when I was in the height of constantly feeling anxious about everything. But truly, the more I see it happen and fall into place, I'm like, doesn't mean I'm never triggered. It doesn't mean I never get upset. Okay, it's not about her being unsure. So if we look at the law of assumption, what it says is everyone is you pushed out. Start listening to Neville Goddard. And it doesn't mean you're controlling everyone. What you're deciding is what your reality is you get to have in your own timeline, right? So there's several ways of looking at this. There is the idea that there are multiple universes, and you're simply shifting your consciousness to the universe where she's fully attracted to you and engaged and ready for that relationship. You're not manipulating her. You're just moving your consciousness. You're this one that focuses mainly. You're just moving it to the timeline where that exists. You could also look at it like there are multiple universes, and in this universe, everybody is me pushed out. And so I create the experience in this specific universe and all of it falls into place. So again, you're still not really manipulating because you have your own universe that you're living in, right? And everybody is you pushed out. So you can look at it either way, but either way, it's not you manipulating anybody and it's not her not wanting you. You get to decide that. Because why would you just automatically decide she doesn't want you? I should have put a necklace on with this. Such is life. The big jewelry queen that I am. What does she think in her universe? That's for you to decide. I see how you're trying to manipulate that. Just kidding. But it is truly for you to decide. So again, I already told you it's that feeling of a little bit of overwhelmment of like, some people get like the news that they're looking for and they get really excited and they respond right away and they're all in. Some people just take a moment to process it. I know you're not trying to manipulate. I was being silly. And I feel like she's the type of person that takes a moment to process and figure out like, oh, it could go there. Is that where I want it to go? Not like, she's a planner, so to speak. So she's not somebody who is impulsive. She's not somebody who likes to have like last minute plans. She's a planner. So she thinks about all of the steps she's going to take, and relationships are a big step. So she's like, is this a direction do I want to go? But I don't feel like she's not interested. I just feel like she's a planner. So now you need to remind yourself, like, there's nothing to worry about. She's totally into me. I'm not worried about it. She'll respond when she's ready. Everything's fine. Go about your day. Go do your thing. Because here's the thing. If you were in a relationship with her, you wouldn't worry about this. You'd just be like, whatever. She totally likes me. She probably just got busy with something. Why are you second guessing that? You have been pining after this woman for a long time. It's not interfering with manifestation. What's interfering with manifestations? I'm confused. So here's the thing. I believe our belief systems create a reality, right? So if I believe that, if you're unsure, yeah, that does interfere with the manifestation, because it doesn't interfere, it shifts what the manifestation is. So it wobbles it. It's like, well, it can go this way or this way, or this way or this way, or this way or this way. Which way am I going? Which way am I going? I'm turning left. I'm turning right. I'm turning left. I'm turning right. I'm turning left. I'm turning right. So it's like, and it's never this straight and steady course. Her duck and weave. I don't know. You're not fully sure of her. I'm going to tell you what I think you're actually not fully sure of, and it's not being fully sure of her. It's not fully sure of being deserving of having a love and connection with somebody, because that makes you vulnerable. And there's a lot of fear of allowing somebody to in that could potentially hurt you, even though you like her a lot. And so this woman who was kind of she was like, well, and when she said like, well, they're going to brainwash me, I said, well, that's your belief system. And I said, and I'm not going to argue with you about belief systems, because if my belief system is all of our belief systems create a reality, then you're not wrong and neither am I. You're just creating your reality, and you're creating it in that manner, and I'm creating mine in mine. So here's what you're going to do. She's totally into me. So start saying affirmations and shifting that thought process, because that's about clearing that up. She's totally into me. She thinks I'm fantastic. She's always honest. She's emotionally responsible. She's emotionally available. She's dependable and reliable and shows up whenever. And then the other thing is you're going to go in and say, like, I'm safe, because the reality is, even if you get hurt, you're okay. Your book is full. Get a new book, darling. And listen to affirmations while you sleep. Because this idea, though, that anybody has where they're like, oh, hi, Regine, I just always get better. And like, I do this work, and then I don't have to keep working on it, is a fallacy. And I know our belief systems, blah, 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 blah. But even when you're really good, there's still going to be something that might trigger you. It might be as expansive when it triggers you. It might just be this like little bloop. Oh, let me just, redirect, like no problem. But it's still there because sometimes those pathways are hard to totally erase. Hi, Shannon. So what are you trying to manifest? It can be peace of mind. It can be security, because she doesn't need to know security in relationships, security in yourself. Abundance of love, abundance of feeling, safe and protected. And you could manifest a healthy relationship. At some point, I think you will. I mean, she manifests, so. And instead of saying try to manifest, just say I am manifesting. Because that's like almost saying like I'm hopeful, and that's a lack of faith. Because faith is believing in the unseen before you have it. Y'all know KK. She's on here a lot. She emailed me. Well, we were emailing about some stuff, and she got the job, and she's like, yeah, it came in just the way you said it would, and like it was quick. And she said that she's doing the exact work that I said she would be doing, which is really interesting to me, because I was like, even when I said it, I was like, sometimes when I say this stuff, I'm like, really? Okay, like that's what's coming, so I'm just gonna blurt it out. So I just know that our mindset is massively huge. And I can tell you that if the CIA is spending millions and millions and years of research on understanding our mind and the way it processes and all of that stuff, there's something to it. Like, and they've documented that is the case, that it's not, this isn't just me being totally off my rocker. And then just have fun and experiment. Don't make it around the things that you're don't always make it around the things that you're super, super tied to. But your self-concept is literally everything. Because if you doubt, like one thing I started saying today is like, I'm allowing myself to have these things that I desire. I'm allowing myself to have these. How does this work? So there's a link Here, I'll put it, pin it as a comment. Let me find the thing here. Hang on. To pay for a reading, it's $12 and 30% goes to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. The other thing I do where I do live readings, they're free over on my TikTok. I do them on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern time. There, I don't guarantee that your question is answered. I discovered the other day that I can go through and find all the comments that everybody made within the live reading. So I may make videos about it, but it's not guaranteed that you'll get a reading. So, but that's another option. I also have $20 readings through my email, and I have private readings where you get to ask a lot more. So that's how it works. Hopefully that was clear. All right. Let's see, where's my list? Regine, what are your questions? And some people don't have TikTok, so it's not of interest to them to follow me over there. I'm going to turn off and back on my phone, and internet is not good. Okay, no problem. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so then while we're waiting for Regine. Are you here, Allie? So Allie or Aura, if you want. Oh, there you are. Well, I mean, I saw February 28th, but nothing. Are you actually energetically putting yourself out there? Because I don't feel like you are. It feels like this idea of like, I want this, but that it's so when you energetically put things like it's like, I know this is happening. I just feel like I want this, but I'm like looking around and waiting for like almost like a food. Like, I don't know where it is. And really, when you're putting something out energetically, it's this idea of being like, when you're visualizing or seeing, it's like, oh, this is how he comes. Like, you don't decide how he comes in, but it's like, this is what he's like. But also just being like, all right, like when I was finally ready for my husband, I think what I said to the universe was, I don't care how he comes in, because I think I went off for a while. And I was like, I'm signing up this way. If this is the way I'm going to meet him, great. If it's some other way, fine. Just whatever. Let me know. But it was like literally like just like I'm energetically putting myself out there, and I don't feel like you're necessarily doing that. So it feels like until you're really ready to do that, like it feels stagnant. The energy feels very stagnant. So ask yourself, why am I not, even though I want this? Like, so I feel like it's like I have this longing to have this partnership that will make me feel fulfilled and whole and valuable and worthy to somebody else. And like, if I have this partnership, that's when I'm going to be happy. And that's when I'm going to feel whole and complete and like valuable in society. And it's this need to like sort of just be like, I am valuable, worthy, and whole and complete as I am. Like, I'm not missing out on anything. I have fun by myself kind of feeling. And it's like that sort of opens that up too. So here's gonna say this. It's not about trying, it's not about the act of actually doing it, it's about the act of surrendering your energy to it. So it's not about like, it's literally an energetic shift rather than, I know that sounds like very ambiguous, but it's literally like when I said, where I was like, I don't care, whatever. I'm looking for this. So like, however it happens, it's fine. And I released this need of it having to come in. It was just this idea of like, I trust this is going to happen. I trust whatever. So if this is the way you want it to happen, great. If you want it to happen another way, I don't really care. Stop acting like, so here you're like, oh, there's a belief system there that's like, I'm 34, so it's probably not going to happen. Um, how many years are you planning on living? Because you are not old. I know my cousin met her husband. I think she was like, I know they had their first kid at 38. So she was a little bit older, which is not even that old. Like now that I'm 45, I'm like, that's not that old. Um, that is a societal belief system that you are not valuable and worthy once you hit a certain spot, like that spinster idea, right? Um, I have a friend who met her husband at 48. So I know you don't necessarily want to wait that long, but what I'm saying is to stop saying you're old or stop saying like, I mean, I'm 34, so it's probably not going to happen for me. So when you have that idea that it's probably not going to happen, guess what? Universe goes, what's that? Is that going to happen? Okay. Like I do not believe in that idea of like, if it's meant to be, it'll be. Like, I do not believe in that. I do not believe that the universe is up there being like, you're not worthy and deserving. You don't get this. I just think it's an order system. That's it. I literally think it's just this programming order system. And then when your order pops up, it goes here. But if you're constantly doubting and wondering or resetting or like you don't doubt and wonder, okay, I'm going to give you the best example because I don't even think the restaurant example works. What do I mean, like your timing? So what I'm saying is like, but when you're saying like, I mean, I'm 34, so I don't know at this point. If you don't know what the order is, the universe cannot fulfill it. So do you want it or not? And if you're saying like there's a mindset belief system in there of like, it's not possible at a certain age. I'm not valuable and worthy enough at a certain age. I'm like washed up goods, shriveled up. But that's not true. Not every man out there is like, there's is like, I've got to have a 26-year-old. So every time you're like, well, I'm in, and the universe is like, great, let's try and send it to you. And then you're like, well, but I don't think it's possible because I'm 34. And the universe is like, okay, then it's not possible. It's literally just an order system. I'm absolutely thoroughly convinced of that. Mostly because of the things I've seen where I've like been like, no, I'm shifting my mindset and this is what I fucking want. And this is how it's going to, like, this is what I want. And like, I remove any doubt at all. And I fucking persist hard. And I'm like, no. So it literally feels like it needs to move into like, I know I'm going to meet somebody. I know they're coming in. I'm not worried about it. I know I'm married. I know this is coming in. I know this relationship is coming in. It's fine. I'm going to keep doing other stuff and it's fine. If they're going to come in through the dating apps, like literally just put a profile up, just fully like own who you are, exactly energetically who you are. Don't try and put it up to like the guy you think you want. Just like, this is me. This is who I am. And then it just feels like it happens. I still don't feel like you're going to meet him on the dating app, but I feel like you need to do that. Because you're pushing hard without a doubt. So I'm not telling you to push hard. What I'm telling you is to push hard in the sense of I know this is happening for me. And then that little brain that goes, well, maybe not. It's like, no, this is happening. So when I was when I was manifesting that my psychic development circle was filled, every other psychic development circle I had, they did not fill up. I was like, could you please, asking my friends, could you please join this? Because I want this to be a really good experience for my paying customers. Just join the circle for me. And I have enough friends that are gracious enough that are like, yeah, totally. That sounds like fun. I'll do it, whatever. So they joined. This circle, I was like, I refuse to beg anybody. I refuse, because I know that I am worthy and deserving of having a full circle. I know that this is a good experience for people. I know that this is a valuable experience for people. So what did I do? I just threw it out there and I just decided this circle, and I did not say anything. This circle is filled. It's filled. It's done. It's done. And like one person signed up, and I was like, of course the doubt comes in. I was like, nope, no doubts. This is done. It's fine. And I think the 2 days before it started, I had two spots left. And I was like, and in my head, I was like, oh, well, 6 isn't bad. And then I was like, no, I wanted to manifest it full, because I kept hearing the story of Neville Goddard in my head about going to Barbados. And that story is, he wanted to go to Barbados to visit his family because that's where he was originally from, but he didn't have the money. And he wanted, I think he had a friend who did manifestation as well. And I don't remember the guy's name. So he's telling his friend about it. And his friend is like, why are you even sitting here talking to me about this? You're already in Barbados. This is done. Like, he did not want to hear his doubt at all. So this is what I'm telling you. I don't want to hear your doubt at all. I'm not getting a timing, because I am not reading anything other than where your energy is directed when I do a reading. I'm not reading something crazy magical out there and creating something for you. I'm reading where your energy is directed. So what I'm telling you is they're telling me there is still doubt. She still hasn't fully put her energy into this. It's just in fricking wait mode. I am not doing anything that magical other than reading your energy and what directions it's going. Okay? So when you're pressing with doubt. It's like, it has to happen, it has to happen, it has to happen, this stuff. And it literally is like, it's done. I know that I've met the person that I'm going to I know that this is mine. I'm not worried about it. You're waiting for your 3D. What's happening right now is the past. These are all of your thoughts and all of your belief systems up until this point, culminating right now. So when you decide you want that order, it's like, it's mine. When I go to a restaurant, I don't go, I put the order in. Is the waitress, I don't go run up and ask the waitress, did you put the order in? Because I asked for it. But did you do it this way? And did you do it that way? And then I don't go back at the table and be like, oh God, I hope it happened. I hope it went out there. Oh, I put it out there, but maybe they didn't get it the right way. Like, I'm not sitting around doing that. I put the order in. I'm like, done. This is what I wanted. Yeah, they have this on the menu, but that's not, I know that this is the standard, what the restaurant or society wants, but that's not what I want. What I want is this with a side of this, and I want it made this way. And I want the sauce on the side. I don't want it on the sandwich. And the restaurant's like, yeah, that's fine. We can do that. No problem. Like, it might take a tiny bit more time, but it's like, not a problem. We can give you whatever you want. And then they walk away with the order, and you don't ever think about it again until the order comes to you. Okay. So do you see how when you really think about your thoughts, when you really look at them, so you said, maybe because I want a job before a relationship. So that's how you put your order in. I want a job before my relationship. So, okay. I think about that oftentimes. Like, when I'm like, I have these ideas of things I want to manifest and people I want to come into my life, like working with WorkWise or whatever. But there's always this limiting belief of like, oh, that needs to happen this way. And so guess what? It's going to happen that way, because I've got this idea of that's the way it needs to happen. So what I'm telling you is, stop deciding, like, you come on here and you're like, where's this relationship? But you've already decided, I want this job first. So it's not going to come in until you shift that belief system if you want it first. Like, why do you need a job before a relationship? Ask yourself that. Or is that a way of actually putting it off because I haven't dealt with some of these insecurities I have of self-concept? So do the self-concept work. I will tell everybody that till I'm blue in the face. Do your self-concept work. Do yourself a gigantic, massive gift and do the self-concept work. Because if you don't do it now, it comes up in the relationship, and if you haven't done a big part of the work before you get in that relationship, you can still do it in the relationship, but sometimes it's harder because you're getting more and more triggered. Whereas it doesn't mean you won't get triggered in the relationship, but it won't necessarily be as big, and you'll be able to recognize it for what it is. And also, you won't welcome in, when you haven't done self-concept work, you welcome in not great relationships, to be quite honest with you. Stop saying you're struggling financially. And how you're doing financially doesn't really matter about the relationship. But stop saying you're struggling financially. So if it's like, for me, when I was working on changing my being tired all the time, and which I found out through manifesting, oh, there's some metabolic stuff going on for me that I wasn't aware of, but because I was like, I would wake up every day, but like, I'm so tired. And every day I was so tired, and like beyond tired. And then I started to figure out, like, there's insulin resistance, and I started taking vitamin D recently. And like, I never do everything at once because I want to know exactly what's making it better. But I started just saying, I'm ready for the day. So instead of saying I'm financially struggling, just say I'm getting by. I'm getting by. You're not lying to yourself that way. Right. The minute we're really honest with ourselves, like, just start observing your thoughts. It's not about judging them and saying like, oh, I'm a bad person because I'm not getting it this way, or like there's something wrong the universe doesn't want to. It's like, just start observing your thoughts. And like, when you write it down like that, and then like reflect back, is like, well, is that true? How could I rephrase that and change it? So instead of saying I'm struggling financially, shift that. Just be like, I'm getting by. Because that might actually also be true. Like, are you getting by as well as you'd like to? No. But I'm getting by works a lot, is like a lot better of a flow of energy for possibility than just I'm struggling, because that's all that you're sending in that order. Right. And I'm not like going, oh, but I was like, when I started really looking at stuff. So this is one activity I started doing these. I haven't been as good about making videos the last few days, but when I started doing this exercise, it really made me stop and realize how much I just move in autopilot, not just with my thoughts. So first, the thing I did was decided whatever follows I am is really important. So I really became highly aware of what I was saying. And so when you're saying like, I'm struggling, well, then you're owning that. Do you want to own that? Is that what you want to create more of? And what follows, I know, is always like something you're creating too. Like, I know this to be true. Then that's your belief system, and that's what's true. So one, that was a big thing. The other thing I did was, so this woman suggested this exercise of manifesting in the way that where you visualize the mundane things you do. So like, I might have, before I did the readings here, I might have like sat down, like visualized myself sitting in my chair, typing in the live thing, hitting go live, and then doing a whole bunch of readings, and then being done and feeling like good that I did a good job, whatever. That's the mundane. So then I actually come and I sit down and I hit go live or whatever. So it's like my brain starts to get trained with the thought that like, what I visualize happens. And then I'll visualize the things that I want to come into. But it's like, I try to make it a practice where I'm visualizing some of the mundane things. But what I realized in doing this visualization is that I really do run through my life, and my brain now goes, hey, you're not visualizing the mundane, but I'm moving so much on autopilot. And autopilot thoughts are those ones like, I'm struggling financially. I want a job before. Well, why do you want a job before you have to get a relationship? Like, why does that have to be in that order? And think about that for yourself. Why is that? Why do I feel that way? That's interesting. No judgment, just with curiosity. And these are good lessons for everybody. I know I lost a few people that way, but whatever. Being more present. Yeah. And so that's like what meditation forces you to do, is be present in the moment. But I don't believe that you necessarily need meditation. I just believe you need to decide, I'm going to be present and in the moment, and start observing my thoughts and observing the way, why do I do things the way I do? Like, and when you even try this mode of like visualizing the mundane, you start to realize like, I'm rushing through life without a thought. without even taking the time to fully be present in that and why I'm making those decisions. So like I thought this was interesting too. This is just an easy, like little quick manifesting thing. So I visualized myself when I went to the grocery store the other night with my daughters. I visualized myself like I quick, because I was like, nope, I need to quick do this. So I stopped, I quick visualized myself like getting out of the car, walking into the store, walking through the store. Oh no, actually the way I did it was, oh no, I did it right before I went in. And when I walked out, I saw myself walking through the plant section. Like there's plants on one side of one of the exit and not on the other. And I saw myself walking through the plant stuff. But when I got out of the car and I walked with my daughters, I realized we're going to the other side and we'd probably come back out of the other side because it just made sense from where we were parked. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Whatever. I guess it doesn't have to be perfect, right? But what happened was when we walked out of the store, we ended up sort of getting pushed into the flow, kind of the way, like there was people standing there and just the way my daughters went, I just kind of followed them. And I was like, well, I guess we'll just walk back outside more. But I realized when I walked out by the plants, I was like, oh, that's funny. I visualized it this way and didn't think it would happen that way just by virtue of where we were parked. So sometimes when you're visualizing a manifestation, you think, oh, it's not going to happen that way because there's no way it'll still happen that way. Be more aware of yourself and your beliefs. Yeah. So it's not that I don't see it coming in. It's just that energetically where I see you at is that you haven't fully put yourself out there and you're sort of like holding it back. And I know people don't like to hear like, oh, you're responsible for this, but like we literally are responsible for a lot. And I'm not proselytizing about being a spiritualist or telling anybody to come into this belief system. But the reason why it works for me is because there's only 9 tenets. There's no sacred text. It's literally like, we believe that the soul exists outside of, like, beyond this lifetime, beyond being in a physical experience. We believe we can connect with those that have crossed over. We believe in a higher power. We believe that we are responsible for everything that we put out there, good and bad, and in the golden rule. And there's also that, like, that connecting with the other side is proven by science. But I'm always like, really, like I want to look at those scientific things. But I mean, I know it's real, but I just, of course, I'm like always the, like, when we say it that way, can you show me the studies and like that it's really a valid study, all of that stuff. But that's why I connect with it, because it's like we are responsible for everything we put out there. Our thoughts are our responsibility. And while there is a lot on autopilot, when you start to become present and you start to pay attention, you recognize, like, maybe my autopilot's not really, like, maybe it could use a little tweaking. Oh, thank you, Aura. Aura said, I love listening. I'm only repeating it because sometimes people watch us back. Like, I'm manifesting that that people watch this back, and like if they don't see the chat. So she said, I love listening to your readings because I can always resonate with what you're saying. Hi, Regine. Of course, you can have a general reading. And I think, Allie, like, I think it's important to talk about that stuff. So I'm really glad that kind of came up the way it did, even though maybe you're like, ugh, it's not the answer I really wanted, because there's so many people who struggle with that, or who are like fighting against that and don't understand why it's not working for them, or why, whatever. It's like, because if you haven't really fully looked at, like, well, what are my belief systems about this? What am I saying? What's following I am here? Like, you're not really seeing how you're blocking it. So you think, like, well, I want. And yet you have this other system where that's saying, like, but I have to have this first, I have to have that first, et cetera, et cetera. So you're not doing anything wrong. Yep. You're acting on what you're feeling. You're acting on autopilot. You're not, like, it's not that you're doing it wrong. It's just that you're not fully, again, looking at what your belief systems are and going, oh, like observing them for what they are, without judgment. Just take some time, like, not trying to you're too afraid. Sometimes there is fear, but then, like, look at, like, why would I be afraid of that? Why would I be afraid of, like, fully allowing myself to be there? Well, oh, I'm afraid of being hurt. Okay. Why am I afraid of being hurt? Because this situation happened. Well, okay. What might have been my belief systems at that time? Why might that have manifested in that way? Because if everything's a reflection of your belief system, then the universe is going like when you watch a rom-com, right? And the glasses girl is like, oh, I'm just like awkward and different. And so like everybody in the script, everybody that's in the cast shows up as being like, oh yeah, she's awkward, she's different, she's a weirdo. And then all of a sudden, like this like person comes along is like, hey, I need something from you. Well, you're not that awkward and weird because I get to know you. It's like you getting to know yourself and recognizing that you're not so awkward and weird. You're valuable and worthy. You deserve to have a wonderful inner dialogue. You deserve to speak kindly of yourself. You deserve to say like, hey, I'm valuable and worthy. I'm good enough. I'm smart. I can protect myself. I am protected. I am safe. I am deserving of a loving, emotionally available person who shows up and is loyal and respects me. It all happens. And that's why your self-esteem is involved. Yep. I was taught that this order. My parents always told me I had to be financially stable before a relationship. And that's where the belief system comes in. I believe that your parents probably said that because they were worried that you would get in a relationship and to be financially tied to that person and not be able to get out of something unhealthy. But if you have a healthy belief system about yourself, you are not going to attract somebody that is unhealthy. You can have a relationship and somebody will love you just as you are with a belief system that says I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving. I promise you that. But it's not going to be the one that you deserve. So work on the self-concept and everything else falls into place. And I agree that you shouldn't get yourself in it would behoove you to not get yourself into a situation where you're financially beholden to anybody. It is not a fun place to be. Just saying. Okay. Ready, Regine? Let's do a general. So I feel like your energy levels are back up this week, but I still feel like there's something not quite right. Did you recently do like kidney, your like your BUN and creatinine and kidney function stuff? Because I feel like it's just, I don't know if you got over a virus recently or something like that, but I feel like it's a little bit down. And you're very welcome. You just have to believe the right person won't take advantage of you. Here's the thing. If you believe in yourself and you learn to say, like, if you learn some of the affirmations around, like, I trust myself, I am safe, I am protected, as you start to develop a healthier self concept, you won't allow somebody in who will take advantage of you because you'll see it before, whatever. Somebody once said to me, like, oh, it must be nice to be psychic because you just like see everybody for who they are. But when I did not have a good self concept, I was looking outside of myself for validation regularly. I didn't trust myself to make that decision. I thought everybody else must know better than me. And so I did allow a lot of people in who were able to manipulate me in different ways. Right? When I started working on my self concept and learned, like, no, like I started to my trust in my own intuition about things that were going on became so like tight, where I was like, yeah, no, this isn't happening anymore. Where I become like poker face and I'm like, I see the like ridiculous shenanigans you're going to, like the lengths of word salad and everything else just to try and get things the way you want. It's like, no, like I'm not engaging in that behavior anymore. So you don't have to worry about somebody taking advantage of you because you see people for who they are and you don't doubt your own intuition about that. Oh, have a lovely week. You have a blood test when? I'm seeing nephrologist on 6/6. Okay. So I feel like they're going to show that the numbers are just slightly down, but I almost feel like that's more related to a viral issue popped up, like not as in a like this is a forever thing. I do feel like they're going to tweak your medication slightly. Um, just something feels really tight in my stomach. So I just feel like there's definitely a dietary component to it, but I feel like they're needing to listen to your body more around this. Where maybe you're getting so tired at the end of the day, you're just eating something to make sure you keep your blood sugar up instead of eating something that, and so it might be a little bit more inflammatory. So voices of the womb, divine inner transformations. These readings here are $12 a question, and 30% goes to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. If you ever want to catch me just for a free reading, follow me on TikTok. On Thursdays, I go live at 1 p.m. Eastern time. I don't guarantee a reading over there. I just kind of like get wherever I get drawn to, I give a reading. Hi, Anne-Marie. So I just explained, I don't know if you caught it. You'll see it. I think you'll probably catch you've been doing the mushroom. Yeah, I don't think it's that. It's something where I'm like eating like it's like I'm tired at the end of the day and I'm eating something more just to put something in me so I don't crash a little bit, and it just feels like it's causing more inflammation. So I don't know exactly what that is. I also feel like they need to check your vitamin D level. Have you had that checked recently? Not yet. I feel like that needs to be checked because it feels a little low. Hi, KK. I mentioned you earlier. I was like, she got the job. How are you? I know I've been inside most of the day. I was outside a lot yesterday. We went horseback riding for my daughter's Girl Scout troop. You're welcome, Anne Marie. Thank you for checking in. And I just love horses. The more that like I learn about them, the more I'm like, they're just these giant, sweet, like bunnies. I mean, they can have attitudes, but so can bunnies. Okay, second question. Do you see me in France this summer? Yes. I'm leaning more towards August. Is that what you're looking at? Like the end of July, early August? I do feel like it's going to be a warm week when you're there. Like maybe unusually warm temperatures. That's exactly when you are. Yeah. I feel like the week that you pick is going to be unusually warm temperatures. So get one of those little fans that you can wear around your neck or like a coolie towel. Yeah, it just feels like an unusually warm time. For 3 weeks, it might be like 2.5. Sorry, I'm just finding a tag that's like Would you believe that this dress is dry clean recommended and I've never dry cleaned it? It turns out. Okay, you're welcome. Random thoughts. I'm like, squirrel. Okay, let me find my list. I wish you could pin 2 comments, but alas, you cannot. So, Allie, I answered. Aura, your question is up. Then Rothka. I've been dealing with a situation where I have to depend on someone financially. I can't deal with it anymore. Do you see an opportunity for a job? I've been searching for a long time. So I know this is really interesting. I feel like, I don't know if you've been doing this, but I keep seeing you like squirreling away money, like sticking it in a little hidden pocket. So I'm gonna. I do feel like this again energetically tension here, like around my heart chakra and throat chakra. I wouldn't be surprised if you feel like you can't communicate with this person that you're depending on. It's interesting because I'm torn between it being somebody like I feel like it's more like a parent rather than a romantic relationship, and it does feel like a male. So it's like if it's a romantic relationship, I feel like it's not romantic anymore, that it just feels like I'm tied to a parent. Does that resonate when I say that to you? I just feel like okay. um I'm going to highly recommend. It's exactly like that now. Okay. So I'm going to highly recommend that you do the work that that I told you. Did you hear all the stuff that I was telling Allie about, like paying attention to your thoughts and manifesting? Because when you get a job, what I feel like you're actually doing is like there's a sense of like doing odd jobs and side jobs. I don't see the money coming from like a. It feels like creating my own income. So maybe it means getting on TikTok, getting 1,000 followers, and doing the TikTok shop thing where you're making commissions off of like the sales that go out. But it's like there's something where I'm making money that's not tied to like a 9 to 5 job. Highly recommend doing self concept work. Highly recommend deciding what follows I am, because if our belief systems create our reality, then we get stuck in a cycle. You're working on opening an online shop. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. Because that's where I feel like the money's going to come from. I don't feel like it's pouring in right away, but I feel like it's giving me a sense of hope, which opens the energy up. But pay attention to your thoughts. Pay attention to what follows on I am. Like you saw what I did. Did you hear all the stuff with Allie? How I said like, oh, see, this is your belief system. This is why this isn't coming, because you're like, I have to have this first instead of this. It has to work this way instead of this way. So it feels like just becoming really fully aware of what my thought processes are. Also, when we start to pay attention to like doing that mundane visualization, it makes our brain believe that the other stuff is possible. So what I would do in your case, mundane visualization that I'm opening this online shop, and then or mundane, so like I'm going to go work on opening this online shop. So I'm going to visualize myself sitting in front of the computer and creating like a digital product or whatever to post, and then I'm going to go on the computer and I'm going to create that digital project to post and post it. I'm going to actually do that thing. So I'm going to do like 3 different mundane things, and then I'm going to do one thing that is just visualizing for something that I don't have right away. Maybe it is like I get my first sale, right? It just feels like needing to do that, like paying attention to like where they are, because you start to pay attention to like, oh, I have this belief system. Also, I'm moving through life without just doing it and sort of like moving in this victim state. I get it. I've been there, so I'm not judging it. And like feeling that like unempowered ability of like, I don't have any control at all. Like that life is just always happening to me. There are countless numbers of people over time who have sold the idea that like our beliefs create our reality. The CIA has done studies on it, and so like and has spent millions of dollars on it, and they're like, yeah, this is kind of true, like here we go, this is true, not kind of true, this is true. So like stop doubting it or feeling stupid or silly or like this is impossible or it's only possible for other people, because it's possible for everybody. But I feel like the money's going to come through that rather than working for somebody else. And I don't feel like you're leaving out of that situation. I feel there's going to be some movement or feeling like I can, like maybe this is an actual possibility to move out of this situation in about 6 months. 8 months feels like I'm going to start heading out that way. But I mean, it's like not even I am a firm believer that our thoughts create our reality. It might be a year. And I know that sounds like I don't know if I can handle this anymore, but I feel like it might be a year. But I feel like it's just because I'm squirreling away money and I just really want to make sure I'm okay and make sure that I can make that move um, easily. You can't handle it. You can't handle it. So it's like I can get myself through this. I can get my money together. I can do all of these things. I am capable of this. I understand that like I can't handle it anymore. I understand. It feels like it might be another year total. And I just feel more like I feel like here's the thing. I feel like it'll be more manageable for you to handle it when the money is coming in from your stuff. So that way you feel like there's an end in sight rather than just this dismal of like feeling like you're drowning as a prisoner. Don't forget to like and share my stuff with people, everybody, and like tell your friends about me. And everybody who has to like, chat on here has to subscribe anyway. But so I 1,000% understand feeling like that feeling, but it feels like it might be another year before you're fully like out of it, only because I feel like I want to be that. I feel like if it, sitting in your energy, it's like I really want to be have this money squirreled away. I do feel like you're squirreling away. So starting an account somewhere or something like that. And the only reason I'm going to say leave, the only thing that would say like leave now, I don't think that this is the case, is if there's physical abuse. And then like find a shelter or do whatever you have to do. Right. But I feel like that's the thing is I don't feel like it's physical abuse. I just feel like it's like this weird relationship where he feels like this authoritarian over you of like, you have to do what I say. You're welcome. Hang in there. Rothka, what's your question? And then I think that might be it for private, like personal questions. Rathka, are you here? There you are. Just a general reading. Anything my guys want me to know, I think would be supportive right now. So the first thing I heard was you're doing well intuition wise. Like you're really, really starting to trust in that, like seeing the connection of like doing the meditative work. It's interesting because I have almost a feeling of needing to ground, but at the same time needing to breathe deeper. They said, let go of needing to know in the moment. And I do feel like that's around, I keep hearing like having like racing thoughts, racing thoughts, racing thoughts. So it's this idea of like, can you get calm and can you center yourself and can you sort of decide like maybe you don't know the answer, but just decide no matter what, the answer always comes to me. So it's like when you're in that moment of like, it's interesting because I feel like it might come up and be trigger with your relationship, but I also feel like that's not really like, I feel like, so I'm going to say this relationship and work, but I feel like I get triggered. And so I kind of get these racing thoughts, but what if, and they're sort of saying, can you, because you are really have worked really hard to like connect in with your intuition and trust it. They're like, can you in the moment just decide, I'll have clarity on this in the moment. And so like finding to center yourself in that moment and trusting that the clarity will come, even if it's not in that moment. And the more you do it, actually, the quicker the clarity comes because the more you learn to like take yourself out of that anxious worry mode, which is an energy space, which is not beneficial. It's not terrible. It's just not beneficial. I'm taking the breathing exercises quite seriously these days. You mean let go of needing to know what's going to happen with work? Yes. Yes. So it's this idea of like, if you have to know, then A, you haven't decided, you haven't set the manifestation, because if we believe our beliefs create our reality, then if you're like, what's going to happen? It's like the universe is like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, so look at what your belief systems are around relationships and how they show up. And oh my God, what if X is different? Then all of these terrible things are going to happen. Like start really looking at your belief system. So in those moments when you're doing your breath work, or in those moments when you're doing meditation, decide like to offer yourself clarity with your higher self to guide you and tell you what belief systems need tweaking in order to bring in consistent income, in order to bring in good connections to work with, right? Because like consistent income doesn't necessarily mean awesome work experiences. In order to bring in that feeling of security in my relationship. So connect with your higher self when you're doing that. Because if the spark of the divine universe exists within all of us, your higher self is a great connection to make. That is a great guide of yours. In fact, many ways, I sort of prefer connecting with my higher self because it seems less, it seems easier and more reachable, attainable. Yeah. Than like this guide that I've never met that might be from some universe that like, which I know I have a lot of connections, just, you know. So the advice is to connect with your higher self to help settle the anxious thoughts around work, life, relationship. Yes. And adopt the mantra of even if I don't have the answer in this moment, I know that the clarity always comes to me. When you adopt that belief system, then it's like you stop going into that anxious space. What I found interesting in a recent thing that kind of came up for me, which creates in the past would have thrown me completely into a massive tailspin of uncertainty and panic. While that underlying level of panic was there, I also felt rather calm because I was like, no, I know my belief systems create my reality, and I know this is there, and this is like this old part of me. And it was really interesting, but it only came because I decided to do the work. I know that clarity always comes to me. Yeah, I know what you mean about the underlying things will always be okay. So it's like I know the clarity always comes. Like it might not be in the moment that I really, really wish it would be, but I'm gonna sit tight with it and just be like, it'll all shake itself out, and the answer will always be provided. And it always is, and it's always in the right amount of time. It's not like, oh, after the fact. It always comes, like what I need to know always shakes out. Sometimes it's just stepping away from it for an hour or two, and you're like, oh, duh. I didn't think of that then. When you decide that that's your belief system and that's the way it always is, then like that's what happens. I have found to also like in manifesting and stuff when I just am like, oh, I know this is what it is. Like that's it right there. So I know I always get clarity on this. So maybe I can't see it right now. I'm gonna relax about it. It's okay. Clarity will always come. It'll all shake itself out. And even like when big things come up that might make you feel like, oh my God, the rug might be being pulled out from under me. I just always remind myself, I'm like, the reality is when I look at my life, everything is always like everything always shakes out okay. Like I'm always okay. It may be a little bit bumpier sometimes than others, but literally I'm always okay. And I know it might be this sounds like flippant to say it that way because some people who have had a lot of struggles or might look at me and think like, well, but you don't really know. It's like I grew up really, really poor. Like I've had a lot of abuse and trauma, and I did suffer because of a lot of that, not because like, oh, I'm the victim, but because it created a lot of belief systems for me that I've had to overcome. And I did have some financial stuff, and like now I realized recently I'm like, oh, I don't have the same financial belief systems anymore because I've been out of it enough. Now I'm shifting to be like the money doesn't have to come through somebody else to get to me. It's like it can come through my business. Right. So like it can also be like saying like the universe always supports me in one way or another. Like it always ends up I'm okay. I know it's late there. I'm sorry I tossed you to the end there. Are you going into winter now? You're not sleeper anyway. Are y'all going into winter now? Is that right? How cold is it there in the winter? Like, what's the climate like there? Like, no snow though. You may get a snowstorm this year, but damn. I feel weird that there might be a rare snowstorm there. Are you planning on coming out here in November? Oh, like the clothesline. My grandmother in one of her houses, when she moved to this other one, she stopped doing clothesline drying, but we would always put our stuff on the clothesline in her backyard. September, not sure how long. Okay. Let me know. All right. If anybody has any general questions about what's going on in the world, then I'll spend a couple minutes answering them. I've got somewhere to be this evening, surprisingly, but since my kids don't have school tomorrow, that's why we're leaving the abode. I probably have to shower somebody. I don't even know if they're home yet. Are they home yet? Let me see. No, they are not. Let's see. Maybe they are. No, they are not. Oh well. Anybody have any general questions? Oh, what's going on with airplanes? Oh, like the Boeing stuff. Rafka, I heard no around the Palestine stuff. They're trying to suppress it. It's not really going to work as well as they think, but it's not going to work. More and more people with bigger platforms are speaking out about it. The turbulence has more to do with these weird, like what I saw it as like these weird jet stream patterns. It's not really the plane. It's like weird last minute shifts or whatever. It's like they know it's there, but then it's like an increase. Like it's almost like the storms they had in Houston, and we had storms here the other day. It was like, well, there's supposed to be thunderstorms, but like where it started drizzling and then like it got really, really dark here. It just feels like these increased intensities. And I feel like this is interesting. I feel like it has to do with the like the solar flares that's like creating this intensity, like the electromagnetic stuff. I don't understand any further than that because I don't know anything about weather patterns. I just heard like as far as Boeing goes, it's like it's their attempts to like quell the whistleblowers is working against them. And even though like people are like, oh, it's just a coincidence, some people may be like it's a coincidence that two of the people who were whistleblowers died at very interesting timing. They're not going to be silence all of the information that comes out. So there's something that's going to come out maybe as like a leak or whatever. And it really does show like cutting corners and like ignoring policies that are set into place for like policy and procedure to cut corners. So it doesn't feel like they're going out of business, but I do feel hefty fines and recalls of sorts. I don't know if they recall planes, but like recalling to fix things. There's something around November around that. So I don't know if that's when it has nothing to do with the election. It just feels like I don't know if that's when like the cases are come to a close or if they say it has to be done by then, but there's something with November of this year for that. I don't know. Are you getting anything like that? Or are you just, or is that in line with what you felt around it? You haven't really looked into it. Yeah, that's just what I feel about it when you ask it. I didn't really think much about it actually, but I think that's interesting. Like the weather stuff might be related more to like the electromagnetic solar flares and stuff that have been happening a lot lately. Like I know people want to believe that it's like, I mean, there are people, not everybody wants to believe this. There's people that want to believe that like it's government controlling the weather and stuff. But I think a lot of it has to do with the solar flares and stuff that are happening. And yes, there is global warming, but there's like some tie to the sun with it. Anything else? So I said this, I think I said this on my TikTok. I did. But I'm going to say it here for those of you, like, as far as I got a weird vision a couple weeks ago where it was like a blip, kind of like when I woke up in the middle of the night. And anytime I have this kind of stuff happens. It was a feeling that there's going to be a last minute change by the Democrats in the candidacy for president. Like, I feel like the Democrats will win, but I feel like this like last minute shift or whatever, like, I don't think Biden's going to be in. Those kids were denied diplomas at Harvard and other places. Will they get them under? Yes, absolutely. With some sort of reparation for it. So I don't know if it's like a financial settlement for pain and suffering type thing. I feel like either they hire the ACLU goes in and takes care of it, or they have somebody who will. I feel like there's actually going to be legal repercussions for Harvard. I think they're going to. Oh, I didn't even. You know what's interesting is I don't really. I know that sounds terrible, but I don't really like watch anything anymore as far as like that. It was just a feeling that came through, and it's not. I just have a really hard time. I have a really hard time right now. He didn't know what was going on at all. Yeah. So I felt for a while he's going to have some health issues. So I don't know what the circumstances were around seeing this last minute change in candidate. And I don't feel like it's Kamala feeling this last minute change in candidate. It just was like, oh, and I didn't ask anymore. It was like, it's just like one of those things when I get it, it's a hit of information. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I don't know why I don't like, whoa, like I don't ever explore it any further. I don't know why. But it's the same thing how I felt like Trump has some health issues that like might hinder him from, you know, it's not like he's the healthiest guy, let's be honest. Like he didn't know what was going on. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely noticed some stuff where, it's like he won't admit that he has any issues, but I'm sorry, like just retire. Not to be a jerk, and not to be ageist, but like at some point in a stressful job like that, like we have other companies that have like a limit of, age limit. Why aren't we? Yeah. And it's first of all, it's ego driven when people are like, I'm going to stay in and I'm going to do it. It's all ego driven. And it's, about APAC and all those things. Maybe I'll create a Patreon and I'll answer all of these in full blast vomit of what I really think about all of it, what I'm really getting about all of it. But we don't have to panic, I feel. Anyway. All right. Is that it? Because I'm going to say goodnight because my little ones are home. I need to help them they might be showering themselves, which is always a miracle. And who knows how the quality, but it will get done. I try to remind myself when you're learning how to do things, you don't always do them perfectly. And that like you don't learn without kind of going through that phase of not doing things amazingly, including learning like, self-care. All right. Is everybody good? Shall I say goodnight? Adieu until next week. Keep an eye out if you're not subscribed. Subscribe to my email. Things are going to be changing. I don't know exactly when, but they're in the works. So I might not have the butterfly anymore. My color scheme may be different. My font is going to be different. I met with someone and I love her. And so she was like, your stuff is just out of date. And I'm like, I know, I built it myself. And she's like, I was like, and when I built it, I was like, what feels like a psychic? And she's like, but it doesn't feel like you. You're so different than every other psychic. I'm like, I know. And I don't feel like I've like other psychics. She's like, we need to make it more you so that it evokes something amazing for you. So she's going to also help me provide some other content and things for everybody. So anyway, stay tuned. It is going to be a bit, I deserve the brand refresh, right? To zhuzh it up. And I am working with a professional. I'm investing in myself. I think part of that comes with having done this hypnosis stuff around like business stuff and like feeling safe and feeling comfortable that it's okay to do that, to like kind of work with somebody. And I value people's feedback all the time, not because like I need it to tell me I'm good, but because like I can't grow unless I know that I'm making like there's room for change. Like I'm always open to like there's room for change and room for growth and perspective to tweak things and whatever to like make it the best experience possible for the people that I'm doing the work for, because that's why I'm doing the work. I want it to be a great experience. So that's what I'm working on. So stay tuned. Anyway, I will see y'all next week. Enjoy. If you have the long weekend, enjoy your long weekend. If not, get some sleep for Monday. Have a good one.